Happy Tuesday. I hope that your week is off to an absolutely wonderful start. I'm really excited to talk about the book that I'm going to talk about today. It is called The Women by Kristin Hannah. I read this earlier in 2024. I actually read it for International Women's Day, and just the title just screamed to be read on that day. So I just felt like it made perfect sense, and I really enjoyed it. This is actually my first book written by Kristin Hannah that I've read. I own other ones. I just haven't read them, which to me seems baffling given how much historical fiction I read. And I really, really enjoyed it. It was such a great story. This book is about Frankie McGrath, who is a young woman from Southern California in 1965 when the world is rapidly changing. Her brother gets called to go to Vietnam, and she decides to join up as an army nurse to follow him out there. The first part of the book is her spending time in Vietnam in a lot of heavy combat areas as a forward combat nurse, and in a lot of surgery rooms with a lot of death and destruction going on all around her, as is typical for a war zone, especially one as brutal as Vietnam. And then the second part of the book is her actually coming home and what that looks like for her fellow veterans, what that looks like for the women who served over there, and coming home to a country that was protesting a war actively, that hated that we were in Vietnam, or mad that we were fighting it to begin with. And it was a really interesting narrative on a time that, because I didn't live through it, obviously, I don't know very much about. And so it was very interesting to read that from this character's perspective. Additionally, how difficult it was for her because she was a woman and nobody thought women were fighting in Vietnam. And so how difficult it was even as a veteran to get any kind of support. It was a very fascinating second part of the book to not only have the book be about war, but be about the aftermath of war as well. I thought that it was a very interesting way to look at this woman's story. One of the things that I really liked about Frankie McGrath's character is that she's flawed. I feel like a lot of times female characters are perfect, or their actions don't have the consequences that we see in the real world. And I really liked that not only was she flawed and she made mistakes, but her mistakes had consequences. Everything wasn't all happy and fluffy all the time. I really enjoyed that when she made a mistake, her friends would confront her and tell her that she needs to do better. And it was really an incredible thing to get to see in a world where we usually don't see that from female characters. I also really liked the friendships that are woven in this book. The true, volatility is not the right word, but the true ebb and flow of not only a female friendship, but female friendships that are spanning thousands of miles over decades and still coming together when it's really needed and when it matters, because we show up for the people who matter in our lives. And I thought that was a very cool piece of this book as well. For me, this is a 4.5-star book. I really enjoyed the ending. I thought it was beautiful and a really lovely way to wrap up this book and this story. I really enjoyed getting to spend the time in Frankie McGrath's life and get to learn about this time in history and why it was so difficult, but also get to explore this time with these characters. It was a real joy. I would definitely recommend this book, especially if you're a fan of Kristin Hannah or any historical fiction that specifically follows women. It's an excellent read. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Happy reading!